Final four. Are your guys ready to get to your final immunity challenge?
Sure.
All right. You see some shocked faces here. Carrie, what's up?
I just remembered that we have a hula hoop and I do not want to like hula hoop for endurance challenge. That's it.
I just remembered that I have a hula hoop now.
All I remembered is I have a blindfold.
Oh.
I will say somebody here did call it.
Oh no.
For this challenge, you'll be catching rolling dirty. For this challenge, you'll be holding a hula hoop out in front of you while balancing dice on the hula hoop. In regular intervals, you add dice to the hula hoop. If your dice drop at any point, you are out of the challenge. If last one standing wins final immunity with a guaranteed spot in the final tribal council, where you will get to plead your case to the jury to why you should win this game. For immunity and a guaranteed spot at the final tribal council. So I was ready, go. I'll give you 10 seconds. I'll give you 20 seconds. Put the dice on.
A lot of seconds. Oh my god, this is hard.
Ian looks solid.
I can't
Ian
even
got his
get
dice on. McKenna, you guys have 10 more seconds to make the transition. Actually, I'll wait for him to try to make it. All right, Kyle makes transition but drops. Carrie makes it.
Am I dropped? Am I still in?
I'll give you guys another 20 seconds. I know it's a little hard. Yeah, really... I'm trying to be. Yeah, I'll be leaning in here.
I'm losing it.
Right. Sorry, Ian.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got to take your hands off the dice. McKenna and Carrie both drop. You're down Ian and Kyle. This is going to come down to who wants it most. This challenge is not easy. Not at all. Both men look pretty solid right now. I'm going to go ahead and give you another 20 seconds in this round. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You both are good. You can put your hand on your dice and you can go ahead. Reset if you want to.
Is the second dice is my fucking mic on? Okay.
Is it?
Second dice transition gonna be like, are we just putting 2 on vertically now?
Yes, vertically. You can do it in one. You can do it in one. You can do one at a time.
That's what I was asking.
Okay. Yeah, you can do one at a time. That's fine. Or you two, whatever's easier for you. Just make sure you're up. We'll give you 30 seconds to get up. Kyle's up. Ian, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. You're not up by then. That
I'm good.
All right. Ian is up. These men are both digging deep right now, fighting for that chance to plead their case. You don't want to be the last member of that jury. You at least want a shot. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 15 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys can put your hands on your dice. You are good. You can go ahead and stack 3 now. It'll give you guys like 30 seconds roughly. Kyle is up. "15 seconds to get up."
No. How much time I got?
5 seconds. I'll give you 10 more. Just to be lenient. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ian, I need you to have it up. And Ian drops, which does mean Kyle wins final immunity, guaranteed a spot at the final tribal council, where he will be able to plead his case to the jury to why he should be the winner of Survivor Yagong Island. You guys can go ahead and scramble.
Good job, Kyle.
We're off, Kyle.
In the final 3, yes. Oh, that is wild. I guess I could just start talking. The fact that I won an endurance competition that required balance and steady hands and dice, I can't believe it, honestly. And from where I started in this game to where I am right now is kind of incredible, considering I was on the run for the whole pre-merge. I did not think that I would get past it. But then once I hit the merge, everything changed like I said it would. And here I am. I think my decision at this vote is set, but it's just unfortunate. Ian has come a long way. He has survived a lot, and that would be an amazing story if he got to the end. And, you know, he's here now because we kept him as a shield. And as I've said before, the time comes when that shield has to go. My goal was to make sure that Ian did not win immunity at this round. And now that he didn't, I think he has to go now.
I know. And honestly, I felt like with the way I've played today, like not to seem overly cocky or anything, with the way I've played, if I could have pulled that off, I felt like I would have had a really good chance. I still do. I mean, I even feel it's weird because if you don't win the final immunity and you get taken, like in someone that I believe my position, who's like made, I don't know, who's known what's going on and has made, you know, a fair amount of moves against certain people, but I feel like it's actually better to get taken. It's just, you know, you want to know that you're going to be there because,
You know, honestly, I feel good that I made it past 5. I know that it almost feels like it doesn't count because you're like playing with your friends, but maybe it counts even more. At this point, I'm like just proud of myself. I went into this. I mean, I even said like, haha, I'm gonna be the queen of Ponderosa, and now I'm at final 4. So, no, I feel kind of like anything could happen right now. At this point, I'm talking to Carrie I talked to Carrie and I talked to Ian as a group, which sucks because we're the only 3 that can be voted out. But before then, I was talking to Ian and we said, you know, worst case scenario, it's a tie. Like Ian and I vote together, we vote Carrie, and Kyle and Carrie vote a different way, or Kyle and Carrie vote for different people. someone puts one on me, one on Ian, and Ian and I vote for Carrie. I don't necessarily know how much trust I have in Ian, to be completely honest with you. I don't know. Am I dumb for taking Ian to the end, or am I preserving my spot at a final 3 regardless of what happens?
What's up, man? Yeah. So, I mean, you have the 2 most likable fucking people in the world in the other group. Like, yes, there was no bad blood today, but like, I don't think those 2 could create bad blood no matter what they did. Like, I just feel like they have both played very well. I mean, Carrie always says she never wants to go to the end, but one of these times that she does, and it almost always does, she's going to win one of these things. So, and like, I don't know, at least probably from like John and Lily's perspective, maybe not Lily, but like definitely John's perspective, like she was a big target for him and she's still here. So McKenna and Carrie kind of threw McKenna under the bus last round by saying that McKenna was the one who wanted me this round. Like after Victoria, McKenna wanted me this round, but it was Carrie who told McKenna that. And McKenna was just like there and was like, yeah.
Interesting. That I did not know about that.
Like, yeah, I mean, we have to say somebody's name at this point, but like we were already thinking ahead. I mean, so yeah, I am probably going to vote for Carrie. That's what it's going to be, because I'm not going to vote. I mean, I'm not going to vote for you, obviously. And McKenna has been honest with me the whole time, so I'm not going to vote for her either.
All right.
I'll dip out and let Carrie come in.
Okay.
Congrats, though. I don't know how you got 3 up, but congrats.
I don't know either. That's wild. Oh God. Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Oh God. Why? Why did I ever want to play with my friends in the first place?
Okay, what's up?
What are you thinking? I mean, I think I know what you're thinking.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I would just thought this through, and for me, if I go to the end, it's going to be hard for me to come up with a winning argument no matter what I say.
Right.
Because like I've played the whole game with McKenna and we voted similarly, so it would be hard to come up with an argument against her. And Ian has been impressive. Like he has had his name thrown out pretty much every round and has gotten votes like consistently, but has made it to the end. So I just talked through this with production when I was in the room by myself, and I was like, I don't know how I would beat anybody at this point. So what are you thinking?
I was thinking the same thing, to be honest. Like, obviously I wanted to hear Ian out, because he was just in here, and take everything into consideration. But it concerns me that he could get a lot of votes because he's been here, that he's still here. And if he were to make it to the end, I think that would be crazy, based off how he's done. I would assume McKenna is voting for Ian, so the best that I could possibly do for him is tie, which might look even worse, you know what I mean, than just like keeping him out, right? Like tying the vote for, I mean, maybe he would win the challenge, maybe he wouldn't, but it's like, if there's already 2 votes going on somebody at this point, like, I just feel like I don't have a reason to vote you or McKenna out. I just think that he has the best chance of all 4 of us to win. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know what their fire making challenge would be, but like, I do know that like, if you tied it, okay, so let me think. So if there's 2 votes on Ian and then 2 votes on someone else, like McKenna and I both suck at challenges, I think. I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah, because I don't think I'm not planning on tying it. You know, I was
Yeah.
just thinking through in my head where it's
So it
like
would be
that.
Ian. It would be Ian versus somebody else.
Yeah.
And like he would have a good shot of winning a fire making challenge because
I agree.
he'd be going up against me and McKenna, and like.
'Cause
So
it's like it could be just be like a flip cup sort of thing, but like anybody could win that. Really, like it depends, right? Like on who
yeah,
says he's not good at it, right? But like he could be.
McKenna has So McKenna has been saying throughout the game that like she's like, okay, we need to get Ian out. So like I know that that's what she's thinking. I like understand her where she's coming from, but like I also, for me, like I've played so similarly to her that I'm kind of scared either way.
Right. Yeah, this is gonna not be
So
all
now
that
I
fun.
don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, I'm voting for Ian.
I don't know. I mean,
Let's do it.
vote Ian.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I thought you were going, like for sure. But yeah,
Hey.
hey there.
Oh,
Now hold up. We didn't talk about anything yet.
Oh, you want me? Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna talk one-on-one with everybody.
yeah, that makes sense. Where's your head at?
You're good. Like you're
Are you
good.
sure?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, for me, I'm not voting for you.
Okay. Well, where are you standing between the other two? Because I see pros and cons for both.
I feel like in my head, like we have to vote for Ian because he's been here every round and we've voted for him a lot,
Mhm.
and yet he's still here. And if he got to the end, I feel like people like John, I think John would vote for him. I think Matt would vote for him, although I don't know Matt at all, but that's just what I'm thinking. I could see Elijah voting for him. I feel like he has more guaranteed votes than anybody else.
Mhm.
So, and you know, so but what are you thinking about, Carrie?
I'm just thinking like Carrie and I played such a similar game. I don't want to split the votes between the two of us. And
You
also,
said the same thing. Yeah.
and
What about you?
also I don't like, for me personally, I told Ian, I never got a chance to tell you, but I told Ian I would love for it to be you, me, and Ian, no matter how it shakes out. But I get what you're saying. Like I see all of the cons of keeping him as well.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm most nervous about is losing Ian's vote.
I know. Well, it would be either one of us or both of us, you know, I
Yeah.
guess in the very beginning of, but I don't know. Because I hate to do it, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. I think it's the better move of
The better
Of
move.
the-
Like, I agree. I agree. I think it's the better move. I know Ian was like pushing me to potentially split a vote. That feels risky.
yeah.
I
I know that's what he would want me to do too, but like
my gut is telling me to vote for Ian. My heart is telling me to vote for Carrie.
Me too. That was a problem last time, except I was using both my heart for both.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was like, now I feel like there's, yeah.
Okay. Strategically, I think the better vote is Ian.
Yeah, I would feel better about my moves in the game if he was gone. Personally,
Right. And
I feel like we'd all have a better pitch at the end if he was gone.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you and Carrie have played similar games or not, like I feel like it doesn't matter. I feel like Ian would win no matter what, no matter which one of you was there or who's, you know.
Right.
That's the way I see it. So I feel like that's the best shot to win.
Yeah.
Is voting at Ian. So
yeah. Okay. That's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay.
that's what I'm going to do too. And that's what I just told Carrie because she came in here and pitched both of you to me. And I was like, I don't really need, I'm not going to vote out McKenna. So that's it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Ian, but that's going to suck because I don't know whether or not to tell him beforehand.
I know.
I think I might, but that's going to be hard.
Right.
You know?
I guess I guess that's up to you.
Yeah.
That's up to you. And I'm gonna go to the well and have Ian come here.
All right.
Okay. I feel strategically it's best to vote for Ian.
Me too.
And okay, yes, I'm gonna go. I'll see you soon.
All right. I'll see you there. I know. I feel like I'm ready to go to tribal council.
Okay,
Hello.
I'm back.
Hey, you're back.
So, okay, did I miss anything when I went to my confessional?
Not really.
Okay.
Just talked.
So you're still wanting to go, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, are you okay with that? You with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what I'm gonna say at FTC, so.
I hate it.
But I guess like one step at a time.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's the actual like best move. Like, it just makes the most sense to me, at least.
Do you think Ian would get more votes than you?
I do. If he was, yeah. It worries me just because he's been his name has come up at least half of these post-merge tribal councils. So, if you know, that was me, I would think that I was winning. You know, if I was on the jury.
I just like, I don't want to make a mistake. I'm like, oh,
no, I think that the bigger
really
mistake.
struggling. I'm like really struggling here because like, oh, it's so hard because McKenna and I have like played the whole game together and like, what am I even going to say about like my game versus her game?
Right.
And like,
well, I know you could come up with a better case against Ian, right? But like, because your games are different, but I just think overall, like he would destroy the rest of us in a final tribal. Maybe I'm not.
I know that's the thing is I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
but that's what I'm going with. That's where I'm going right now. And McKenna, that sounds like where she's going to. So
yeah, right. I mean, I haven't talked to her, but like throughout the game, she's always been like, "Oh yeah, we have to get rid of Ian."
I kind of just want tribal to hurry up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really don't want to talk about this anymore. It sucks, you know. No matter what, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Fun spot to be in, but
Okay. Oh God, shoot. I like don't know. Okay, let me see. Okay, maybe I should talk. Oh, I don't even know who to talk to at this point.
I kind of just want to go in there and just like chill.
Yeah.
Which is stupid, but I guess I've said about all I needed to say to everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, Ian just it's because like think about how good of an underdog story that would be, right?
Yeah.
Like letting somebody like that get to the end, it worries me a lot. So as much as
I just think so many people like McKenna, and I feel like people just really like her. I feel like people also really like Ian, and people also really like you. Like that's a hard part.
like you too.
I know.
I don't know what those two are talking about in there, but they can keep talking until we go to tribal council. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Have you ever been to an FTC before?
Nope.
Me neither.
This is fun.
Is it fun? I feel like it's really scary.
Not right now. Well, now this part isn't fun. Having to vote, vote somebody out at the end. That part's not fun. But maybe pitching the case will be fun. Because it's like you've done everything that you can do. So now it's just basically talking about yourself. Having people asking you questions. I think that's I don't know.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
people can be scary though.
Yeah, I don't know. John is going to probably be a viciously bitter juror. I should have put him down as the bitter juror.
I know. Well,
All right,
so
it's time for tribal finally.
Oh, all right, here we go.
Now I feel like it's between Carrie and I. McKenna has been super forthcoming with me since we've kind of made a pact that we wouldn't vote for each other. I kind of threw out at tribal that, there were no number ones. I think for some reason that hit. I was just trying to, again, plant seeds, trying to make a garden here on Yagong Island, planting a seed that there were no number ones. And meanwhile, I was trying to get two. Both of my number ones are still here. I just hope that, they choose Carrie. I feel like McKenna's going to vote with me. And if she doesn't, I'll be going home. But at the worst case scenario, we'll tie and I'll face Carrie in a challenge. But I'm really hoping that Kyle votes for Carrie because Carrie is stupid likable. Like you could not like Carrie if you tried. And I just, I feel like I have a good shot against either McKenna or Kyle. I feel like I have a good shot against Carrie too, but I got to get there. And to get there, I'm going to vote for the person who has kind of planted seeds to vote me out. And, she seems like she's just floating along. She's not. I didn't even mention her earlier as one of like the floater people because she's not.
nervous. Okay. So it sounds like Ian is going to be voted out. So Kyle does not want Ian going to the end because Ian has kind of played an impressive game so far. He's had his name come up at pretty much every challenge, or not every challenge, every tribal, and is somehow still here. So that's like, how have you done this? So Kyle doesn't want Ian at the end. I am concerned because I have played so similarly to McKenna that it's going to be really hard for me to go up against her at Final Tribal. So, like, it's cool that I get there. I just don't really know that I'm going to be able to get any votes. If it's like Kyle versus me and McKenna, Kyle's probably going to get the most votes. So that's kind of what I've been thinking. Okay, let me think this through. So if Kyle and McKenna vote Ian, and Ian and I vote McKenna, then it's going to be fire making challenge of Ian versus McKenna. And I don't know what that's going to be like, but it really might be the best thing for my game to not let McKenna get to the end, because I have played a different game than Ian and I have played a different game than Kyle. I don't know if it's a better game, but it's been a different game. So maybe it would be in my best interest to tie it up and force Ian and McKenna to go to fire.
All right. Final four. Where did I get started? I'm gonna go to Kyle. Kyle, how does it feel? You won final immunity. That hula hoop challenge. You had to hold the hula hoop in front of you and add the dice onto them vertically. It was a very tough challenge. People were dropping, but you seemed pretty solid that full challenge. So, are you happy with that? How are you feeling that you will get a chance to plead your case?
Well, it feels amazing. I have not been in this spot before. And winning, especially winning on a challenge like that from some of my challenge performances earlier in this game. I think it is a bit of a redemption arc. I think that it's a great ending to this. So no matter what happens, I consider that a personal victory, and I'm very, very excited to be in this position, even though it is still hard to do.
Absolutely. Carrie, how are you feeling? I mean, obviously, you can't vote for Kyle.
Mhm.
Yes, immunity.
Mhm.
You have to choose. You can't vote for yourself. So I mean, there's only two people you can choose from here. How is that shaking up for you?
Um, I mean, it hasn't been fun. Like, I like don't know. I'm like racking my brain and running through scenarios and thinking about a lot of different things. And it's just like really a lot right now. I don't normally run strategy by myself, so this is really new for me. So I'm kind of feeling like really like confused and kind of stuck and scared. So that's how I'm feeling.
McKenna. So this vote, you're putting the last person on the jury. And do you go for who you think the biggest threat is, or do you go for who's at your back? How are you doing this? This is a big vote. This can make or break you at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is a huge vote, and there are pros and cons to either name. Obviously, as probably everyone is thinking, if they haven't already said it. I think for me, I've calculated all of the different scenarios, all the different options, and I still am like feeling sick about voting. And so either way it's going to hurt, and either way I hope to be sitting next to the person I vote with or the people I vote with, and I hope that the person I'm voting for doesn't shun me in the end. I don't know. I feel sick to my stomach about it.
Ian, my man, you have a look on your face like, fuck this. I'm not enjoying this right now. What's going on with you? And McKenna said two names. Does that make you worried?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we all pitched, Carrie, McKenna, and I all pitched each other in the last round. I mean, there's no other option. Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't feel great. I just hope that, like McKenna said, I don't think, I forget who said it earlier, but I don't think that, a vote today is going to impact any relationship that I have outside of this. And I can promise everybody now, whether you write my name down or not, like we're good, we're Gucci. So yeah, I've had conversations with everybody, and I've said how I'm going to vote. So I plan on bringing my word to this tribal as well. So
who here thinks Kyle might have a decision to make? I'm just playing with you. I want to see you guys shake. It is a vote. Before you get the vote, is everyone ready? Does anyone else have anything else to say?
My heart is like racing.
Well, part of the game, and unfortunately, we have. But that goes on. One of you is going to be about to be the last member of the jury.
God, I hate this game. I understand that playing with my head means that you might not ever forgive me, but if I played with my heart, I don't think I could forgive myself.
well, I really wasn't sure who I was going to vote for in this round, Carrie and McKenna. But I think I, may have done a little bit of late magic with McKenna. Carrie seemed like she really wanted to vote McKenna. Kyle wants to vote me. Well, hey, maybe I can get McKenna to vote for Carrie too.
Okay. So if Kyle votes Ian, and if I vote Ian, McKenna votes Ian. But if Ian and McKenna vote me, and Kyle and I vote Ian, I don't know what McKenna and Ian are actually going to do. If I vote McKenna, and McKenna and Ian vote me, Kyle votes Ian. Do I want to sit with Ian? Do I want to sit with Kyle? McKenna. You're supposed to vote out your strongest ally and take responsibility for all of their moves. Ian has played such a good game. He could just beat me and Kyle. If I take Ian, am I going to look like an idiot for taking him? Like, oh my God, why would you do that? If I take McKenna, am I going to look like an idiot for taking McKenna? Like, oh my gosh, Carrie, you played the same game as her. Okay, I'm going to vote. Okay. 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 My vote is for McKenna. Oh God. I don't even know if this is the right decision. McKenna has played so similarly to me. And so I don't know that I've played a better game than Ian and Kyle. I just know I've played a different game than them. And I have no idea if someone were to ask me, okay, but like, what have you done that McKenna hasn't done? I wouldn't even know what to say. So, and this all could be for nothing. For all I know, McKenna and Ian are voting me out. Who knows? So I just had, okay, that's all.
Okay, this was really, really hard for me. I like honestly going back and forth, even up to the last second. I have literally 2 names written down on 2 separate cards, lifting.
All right, I will go tally the votes. All right. I will read the votes. Person voted out will be asked to leave the Zoom call immediately. First vote, Carrie. That's 1 vote, Carrie. Second vote, McKenna. We are tied. 1 vote, Carrie. 1 vote, McKenna. Ian, we are tied. 1 vote, Carrie. 1 vote, McKenna. 1 vote, Ian. 1 vote left. The 12th person voted out and the 7th and final member of our jury, Carrie. Carrie, I'm so sorry. The tribe has spoken.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Please,
okay.
Please go to confession of 1.
Okay. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Have gone as far as you could in this game. Your fate now in this game now shifts over to the jury. 7 people, which you vote out, which now includes Carrie. Go ahead and grab your torches, head back to camp. You guys are just gonna stay here.
You got it.
All right, awesome. Let me just my screen just be saved. All right. 3. Welcome to your final tribal council. Your fate in this game now shifts over to the jury, where they will decide which interview will be the first ever winner of Radical Rowdy Productions Minis, Survivor Yagong Island. How this will work, each one of the 3 of you will get an opening statement, and then each one of our jury members will be allowed to ask. I mean, if you want to ask a question each of the finalists, at this point we have time. I'm surprised we had time, so if you guys want to go ask one other question, I don't care. That's fine with me. And then we'll give each of our finalists a closing statement. So, Michael, just do whoever's first. Who's first? Just tell me who's order the final 3 on your screen.
It's Kyle, Ian, McKenna.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and start with Kyle then.
All right. Hello, everybody. This was certainly quite a crazy season. with a lot of interesting dynamics. My path to get here was really kind of wild because in the pre-merge, I was definitely really skating by, admittedly. Got a vote at the first tribal council, but if I remember correctly, I didn't get another one for the whole rest of the game. Once the post-merge hit, I don't think I was ever in any real danger of going home at any point, for better or worse, but I always made sure that I was in the numbers and I always had enough people on my side.
All right, Ian, go ahead.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I think my game actually started when I made my intro video. I was talking about strategies, and my two strategies were be adaptable. I feel like I showed up today and was adaptable at every vote. I voted for someone based off a sole reason for this game at every single vote, dating all the way back to Zach, when Zach threw out Kyle's name and other people's names in the same tribal council. I knew every single vote of how it was, not exactly how it was going to go, but I knew the majority was going to vote every time. I was in the majority for every single vote the entire game. I feel like I made a garden here at Yagong Islands. Every single round, starting at the very beginning, I started planting seeds with people. So Elijah, I planted seeds almost right before the merge that Elijah was going to be very good at challenges and that we were going to have to get Elijah out because eventually we're not going to have a chance. And so Elijah won the first couple challenges and, it happened. I feel like I started that kind of push way back towards the beginning of the game. Same thing with Victoria. When Elijah was in his immunity run, I was planting seeds about Victoria, and I knew Victoria was going to be good at everything. Endurance, puzzles, balance, she's good at all. So I knew that if I could tell everybody that, hey, Victoria's going to win if we don't get her out, and we got to get her when we have the chance. And finally, after 3 straight wins, that chance came. And I planted seeds from Final 7 on about Carrie and McKenna and how they were, kind of playing the same game and how, we needed to get one of them out eventually. And luckily that was able to happen. Again, everyone gets here with a bit of luck. Anyone who tells you differently is just flat out lying. But I have really appreciated playing with all of you today. And I hope you vote for who you think played the best game.
All right, McKenna, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be sitting here. I think for me, like Ian said, my game started when I made my intro video and when I talked about my strategy and I talked about relationships and I talked about that's where my strength is my social game. And I think that was really proven when, after the merge, I did not hold a single immunity challenge. I did not win a single challenge. And frankly, I never came close. I think I was able to navigate my way here by building trust with people, by building relationships. And I think I was able to talk myself out of situations and talk my name off the table in several votes. I received several one-off votes, and I know my name was floating out there a lot, and I was able to evade that every time. I think I'm sitting next to 2 people that eat, sleep, and breathe online games, and I'm very, very new to them. And so, whatever happens, I'm very proud of myself, and I hope that you can see, how we all played different games, but I think we all played valid games, and you vote for the person that you think deserves the win.
All right, Matt, you can go ahead and ask the finalists questions.
Okay, let's do this. So, I don't think it's a secret that I'm probably the only person that knew nothing about any of you 3 before the game. I also was the merge boot, so I also didn't get to see a lot of your game. So I feel like I'm going into this with probably less information than anyone. So I just want to give you guys a quick chance to fill me in, maybe make up for that. And make it quick, make it simple. I want each of you three to tell me very briefly one thing that you did better than the other two finalists, or that you think the other two finalists didn't do at all, that you did, that would make me want to give you my vote.
Go ahead, sir.
I'll start with, let's see, McKenna. Just she's the first one on my screen.
Okay. I think what I did better than the other two is gain people's trust and gain their information. There were a lot of situations, like even as far back as the Lily vote. Well, I guess the Lily vote I didn't know. But there after that, every single vote, I was in the majority. People were telling me things, people were coming to me and giving me names to vote for and reasons why. And very rarely did I have to throw a name out and start that conversation because people were coming to me.
Okay, good answer. Ian, I'll do you next.
All right, so I think the thing I did better, I sort of already mentioned it, but I'll add another bullet point to that, was the plant seeds type of thing. I think that the move I made at final 8 or final 9, both when I said at tribal that there's no such thing as alliances here, there's just trust clusters, that was all a play. Kyle and I really developed a relationship in the pregame, didn't vote for each other until late when he voted for me. And then around final 7, I was like, you know what? No one is ever going to expect that McKenna and I don't write our names down, don't write each other's names down. And I went to her, we met up, we decided that we were going to be each other's, ride or die for the rest of the game. And that worked, because at final 4, I convinced her to, vote with me, and have Carrie came to me and said, hey, I'm going to vote for McKenna. And Kyle, I already knew, was voting for me. And I was like, listen, McKenna, we can both vote for Carrie together right now, and we can both guarantee ourselves that we're going to sit at the end. And so I feel like that's what I did. I'm not going to say better, because I totally respect and appreciate the other two people sitting next to me, but that's to answer your question.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, I'll say something I did was making myself more important to as many people's games as possible. At some time or another, there was somebody here who wanted to vote out the other two finalists after the merge, but there was nobody seemed to want to vote me out. Like I said, could be for better or worse, but I needed to make sure that I was important enough to every single person's game to where they wanted to vote somebody else out instead of me at any given vote, whether I had immunity or not.
Okay, I do have one more quick question for Ian, if that's okay. Ian, I gotta say, I thought you were going out at 4. You didn't have immunity. I thought you would be the other vote from what I'm hearing. I just want to hear more about what you did to still be here in the final 3 despite not having immunity.
Okay, so Kyle decided that he wanted to have one-on-ones with everybody, which, as you should, being the person that's safe. I already knew he was voting for me no matter what. He voted for me already at final 6. And so Carrie and McKenna I played it up all game that they were playing the same game. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I played it up that way. And then I went to Kyle and I was like, hey, they're playing the same game. Let's vote for one of them, knowing it wouldn't work. I talked with Carrie. Carrie's like, I want to vote for McKenna. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'll vote for McKenna with you. It only saves me. And then I talked with McKenna, who I've ride or die with since final 7. I know it's not a long time, but I talked with McKenna and I'm like, hey, let's vote for Carrie, because I know Kyle is voting for me and Carrie is voting for McKenna. So if I can just get 2 votes where I want them to go, I can sit at the end. So that was the only way. It was either I sit or I do fire with Carrie, or I make that work. And I figured I'm terrible at challenges anyway, so try and take the more sure route, and it worked. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, cool. I appreciate you guys. I was told a lot of bullshit when I got voted out, but I was told Ian and Kyle were big strategic threats, and that McKenna was a big social threat. And all 3 of you made it here. So I guess you proved those people right. So congrats to all three of you. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, thank you, Matt. Lily, you're up.
Okay, I have two questions. I'm gonna
Matt,
be
you can-
that person that says it's just really quick, no explanation to any of the answers. One question I ask all the time: sum up your game in one word. The second question: how many votes do you think you're getting from the jury? You don't have to say who from, but as somebody that asked me this question, if you don't give a straight answer, you're not getting my vote. So whoever wants to go first.
I'll say adaptable, and I'll say 3.
And I will say social and 3.
I'll also say adaptable. What the hell? And 1.
You're good, Lily?
Thank you.
All right, John, you're up.
You know, I'd be lying to say that I wasn't disappointed in your answers to Lily's question just now. Not a single one of you seems to think that you can get enough votes to win the game. And that's bullshit, and I'm calling you on it right now. You know it's bullshit, and I want you to stop lying to us. McKenna, you correctly identified the biggest threat in this game at the final 9. But we have now learned as a jury that you aligned yourself with that threat, despite being the one of 2 people not here, or 2 people here out of all 10 of us. You were one of 2 to identify this threat. But apparently you aligned with him for a ride or die. What changed your mind?
I felt like if I aligned with Ian and worked with Ian, I could beat him sitting next to him. I truly believe he says he played an adaptable game. I feel like I was on the bottom at the Lily vote. And I feel like I only worked my way up and I played an adaptable game. I feel like I built stronger relationships. People were scared of Ian. People think he's aggressive. People think he's, bitter and loud and all of these negative things. And no one said a negative thing about me. I honestly felt like, and still feel like, sitting next to him would be easier to defend my personal game than sitting next to Carrie. Or, whoever was sitting next to me or whoever's sitting at the final 4 with us. I feel like maybe I don't have as flashy of a game and maybe I don't have as strong of a showing in immunity challenges. But I do think that I played, at one point I was left out of a vote and I was clawed myself back up and gained people's trust and made it here.
Thank you. Kyle. It seemed like you kind of played in Ian's shadow this entire time, to the point where you literally used the exact same word to describe your game as him. What did you do differently from Ian to get you to this place?
My relationship with Ian the whole time was that I'm going to work with Ian until we get to the point where Ian's game is going to now hurt me if I let him get any further. So playing in his shadow for a certain part of the game, I didn't see it that way, but even if that were the case, I made the switch, right? Whereas like McKenna wanted him out, but then she made the switch to work with him. I was working with him, but then made the switch to want to get him out. And at a certain point, nobody would do it. Perhaps that is a fault of mine, but there was not a time where I was necessarily blinded by what he was saying. I was always working to try to get rid of him and set all that up. And as I said, it didn't work, but that was the strategy. It was not, I did not play to get him to this point. That's for sure.
Thanks, Kyle. Ian, I don't have a question for you. I think your gameplay has been enough of a statement to this entire jury. Congratulations, all three of you. Well done making it this far.
All right, thank you, John. Elijah, you're up.
Okay, so my question probably won't be as passionate as John's because it's past my bedtime. But I have one question, the same question for all of you. What is one pivotal connection or relationship that you haven't mentioned already? So McKenna and Ian, you can't say each other again. What's one pivotal connection? It could have been short term or it could have been long term that you felt either saved you in the game or improved your position. I'll start with Kyle.
I'll say it was Bill. When I got kidnapped to the other tribe, I gave Bill the clue to the hidden immunity idol because I knew that if we linked back up at any point, that was something that I knew I could rely on and start to foster something on the other side, a connection that I didn't have before, but I have now in addition to the ones that I've already made. So when we got there, Bill and I already had this bit of trust between us. And he was somebody who I really felt like I could rely on. And I think he felt the same way about me as long as we were in the game together. And so I think that connection served me well.
McKenna?
I'm gonna do an absolute shocker and say Victoria. I feel like Victoria and I worked together. We came into this game knowing each other, playing together before. And similar to how Kyle described his relationship with Ian, is I worked with Ian or with Victoria up until she was a detriment to my game. And I feel like, Victoria and I were on different sides of the Lily vote. We were on different sides of the Bill vote. But still she came to me and said, what happened? What went wrong? I felt like people looked at Victoria as a bigger threat, and I kind of hidden that shadow and fostered those relationships that people were bringing to her and she was bringing to me.
I'm also going to say Bill. Final 10, Bill asked me specifically, is this just going to be a demolition of everyone from DCP Prod, which is me, Lily, Carrie, and John? I answered honestly and said no. And even though I didn't vote with Bill that round because I knew that Matt from Zach early in the game was a massive threat, and Matt, he won a mini last weekend. So I was voting Matt no matter what, but it worked out because Bill, proven and touchy subject, was the most honest member of the jury and onward. So getting Bill on my side, and he never wrote my name down after that, on my side helped me, kind of Bill would tell me things because people would tell Bill things. So I was able to use that relationship to my advantage.
All right, Elijah, you're good?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Elijah. Bill, you're up.
Congratulations, all of you. Although after this last thing, I'm starting to feel a little used. One question for everybody. This is just more interest. It was something I wanted to find out in terms of making a final decision, but now I'm confused because Lord knows there were very few unanimous votes in this game. There were hinky votes all over the place. I'm wondering, I want each of you to tell me how many times, who were you on the wrong side of the vote for? From Merge, from Matt up to Carrie. And I guess Ian.
0. I voted for Matt. I voted for Lily. I voted for John. I voted for Elijah. I voted for you. I voted for Victoria. And I voted for Carrie.
Okay. And McKenna.
1. As I've mentioned before, Lily.
Okay.
And at that point I did vote for Ian.
And Kyle?
Carrie, and then you, Bill.
Okay. This has been really interesting because I found out a lot about people's games that I didn't know. So this has made me think. And I think I'm just gonna listen. I guess I've got one question for you, Ian. One thing you cited and you highlighted was that you planted seeds about Elijah, you planted seeds about Victoria. I mean, that mofo was already a redwood before you got there. I mean, it was quite obvious very early on that Elijah and Victoria were the challenge beasts. So I'm going to put that aside because that's like anyone who didn't see that in front of their faces, wouldn't have gotten this far in the game. So, and I remember when we talked, your big sales pitch was that you were a meat shield, which you were, but that also made you reluctant to give names, at least at first. So, besides those two, what do you think you seeded? Where did you think you really influenced the votes rather than just standing back and being anyone but me?
I mean, the Carrie and McKenna Final Four 100% is me planting seeds about their relationship or their gameplay to each other. Their gameplay, your gameplay is the same. No one's gonna know who's talking at Final Tribal except for when Kyle's talking, because your game would be the same. Again, I have no idea if that's true or not, but that was the only way I could sit here. And yeah, I mean, I didn't want to vote for John. I really didn't, but I feel like even though, yes, Victoria and Elijah were clearly individual immunity threats, the seeds were that, like, when they lost, they had to go. Elijah was planted before individual immunities even started. And then Victoria, as soon as Elijah won his first, obviously he can't go out. I put it on Victoria. Yes, you could see it from a mile away. Victoria would have won this game hands down if she sat here at the end. Elijah, had he gotten here, would have deserved every single vote from the jury. So yes, I mean, while it was maybe right in front of you, I feel like I put it out there well before any of that actually happened. Yeah, I don't know. Also, people in touchy subjects, I was the answer for 6 out of 9 options. And it included biggest strategist, mistakenly in control of this game. And I feel like that was a seed I planted as well, that I was mistakenly in control of the game. You all believed it, but I feel like I was in control from Lily onwards. Okay. So that's my answer, Bill.
Okay. And Kyle and McKenna, I think I have the same question or maybe questions for you two. First being, obviously, it seems Ian played a different game from the two of you. And Ian was sort of always the punching bag, but that no one ever hit. And both of you, as you said, stayed low key, relied on being sort of on the down low. So first, how would you distinguish your game from the other person? And second, is it a better game, or explain to me why it's a better game to play under the radar where no one's really gunning for you, as opposed to being in the spotlight all the time and being still able to beat your way to the end? And I guess, Kyle, your mic is on, so you go first.
All right, so the way it's different is I think I had more to overcome, I guess I would say. I think I rebounded, whereas McKenna, not that she didn't rebound, but I saw it as like people were like going to her, whereas I was going to other people. But maybe that's just from my perspective, obviously. So
yeah, don't get the wrong idea. I don't want you guys to go at each other.
Yeah.
The point of that question wasn't,
I
just want to understand the differences.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's the difference I can think of. I mean, there's plenty of differences, but that's one that I could.
Okay. And then why should a sort of smooth, I don't want to say under the radar, but never being perceived as a threat game be rewarded over someone who is consistently perceived as a threat, but still manages to make their way to the end?
Completely honest. Yeah, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't reward that game. If I couldn't get, yeah, then that's it. But I was always.
But give me a why.
Yeah, I was always making the move that was right for my game, and I feel like other people at times weren't. So there's a difference for you.
Okay. And McKenna, just distinguish your game from Kyle's for me.
For me, I think Kyle has mentioned it before. He kind of played Ian's shadow until he said he no longer needed to. And I feel like I never was anybody's shadow. I constantly was out as an option. As Matt alluded to, people were saying, McKenna is a social threat. McKenna has a good social game. And so I think I never hid behind anybody else's game. And I always played my game, and even when I was left out was able to rebound.
Okay. And actually give me an answer this time. Why should, and I'm not saying one way or the other, why should a game where you just sort of flow steadily through why should I vote for that as opposed to a game where someone has been an obvious target throughout and still has managed to escape death time and time again?
Well, I think you can approach this game playing my game or playing Ian's game. And I think people respect different games. That's fine. I understand that. For me, why I think you should vote for my style of game is because I was able to, like you said, float under the radar, and still get what I wanted and make moves, and while not being that obvious threat. And there's two ways you can approach this game. There's more than two ways, but there are two ways right now that you can, and that's how I feel.
No, I appreciate it. And I'm still have not decided, which way to go here, but I always find that to be sort of an interesting question. Anyway, congratulations to all of you. Great game and good luck.
All right, thank you, Bill. Victoria, you're up.
Congratulations to the final three. So I think one of the advantages of playing with a lot of people that is that you know what they might do if they're on the jury. And I think this jury tends to value more of a strategic game, I think. So my question for McKenna is, do you feel like your personal relationship with Ian is strong enough to where you would be willing to lose to him in this game?
Good question. Going into this final four vote, I made it very clear that I did not know where I was voting. And I know that Ian and I had a conversation that I was nervous about losing his jury vote had I voted him out, especially since I had given him my word time and time again. I think our personal relationship is going to thrive whatever happens in this game. But I don't know. I think did our personal relationship hinder my ability to think clearly? I'm willing to admit that. Yes. But I think we'll be fine.
And then my question for Kyle, I know we talked about voting Ian several times, and we discussed how he would win against me or anyone else. So I'm just wondering, at Final Four, do you think that vote is an indication of maybe being outplayed?
100%, because I think that it was the right strategic move for everybody who was there from how I saw it. And Ian managed to get himself out of it through none of my actions. But yeah, credit to him for being able to play that.
Okay. And I don't have a question for Ian, but I'm salty that I'll have to hear about this when we play video games later.
Victoria, just seriously, the utmost respect for you. Don't fucking not give yourself credit. You would have beaten me at the end. Do not do that to yourself. You're a great player and an even better person. And this is not me trying to get your vote. I promise.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Victoria. Carrie, go ahead and finish us off.
Okay. So I want to, I think, address the jury first before I ask questions. So I don't know. I haven't had too much time to think about what to ask. So this just kind of came to me. And I guess the first thing I wanted to say is that it's interesting that when we play touchy subjects, everybody thought that Ian was the person who would be the bitter juror, because that's not true. It's me. I'm always bitter on the jury. So here I am. I will be fine, but right now I'm just not 100% chill. So like, as I address the jury, there's just a couple things I want to say. Ian was taking credit for saying that my game was the same as McKenna's, that he planted that seed. It's not true. I told Ian that before he ever said it to anybody else. I told him that because I trusted him, and I do have a hard time strategizing through these games. And so I was kind of, I think in that moment, leaning on him a little bit. So that was not a seed he planted. The other thing, McKenna said that one of her strengths was that she was able to collect a lot of information. People were coming to her. She never had to throw out a name. It was super cool. And you're right. I bet it was really cool. I didn't have that luxury. I mean, for me to have a conversation with someone, and this happened quite a bit, where like, how many times do you go back and forth and say, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't really view that as, I guess, I viewed as kind of wishy-washy, I think, that I had to take the lead in a lot of the votes that we had together. So I don't know. I was just thinking that. Okay, so those are kind of just the thoughts in my head. So now, okay, my questions. My question is, for each of you, it's the same question. Can you tell me one mistake you made in the game? And I'll start with Ian because your mic is on.
Okay, it was on over there. All right, one mistake I made. First of all, Carrie, you are correct. You did tell me that about you and McKenna's game. I'm absolutely not taking credit for that. I'm taking credit for the seed planting at the Final Four. So you are correct, 100%. Mistake I made, which I really thought it was going to cost me. I had to pee 3 times in 30 minutes because I was so nervous that it was going to cost me, was at Final 10 when we were sitting there with Bill, who was not going to vote Matt. And it was you in the room. It was me in the room. It was Kyle in the room and Bill. And there might have been someone else there too. But you said, okay, so are we doing Matt right in front of Bill? And I said, no, we're doing Elijah, and then just left. Because Elijah was the decoy plan. And that was a mistake I made that I thought I made in the moment, because I was like, oh shit, Bill is going to be all over me. Like I already thought I had a target at that point, which I did, but I thought Bill was going to be all over me at the next vote, which in turn led to me going to Bill to forage that relationship for future votes. So while it was a mistake in the moment, I'm not going to claim it as a mistake now because I'm sitting here in the final 3 as far as I could go just without the jury voting. So that's my answer.
Okay. McKenna?
Okay. Also to what you said about not having to throw out a name, that's true. You did take the lead on a lot of those things, and I appreciate that. So a mistake, I know you're all probably thinking I should say my mistake is voting Carrie out and bringing Ian. But I think my mistake is thinking that early in the game, right at the merge, that I was believing that people were going to do what they said they were going to do. And I'm also a person that struggles to strategize. I'm a person that is very relationship driven. I'm a person that wants to see the best in everybody. So when it came to the Lily vote, I was really down. I thought Ian was going. I thought it was going to be a landslide. And that was the moment where I really thought, you know what? People are not aren't telling me exactly what they're going to do. And I had to rework my strategy and really make sure that I was in on the votes and not just being fed a plan.
Okay, Kyle.
My biggest mistake in the game was not being able to convince you to vote for Ian at the final 4, plain and simple.
Thank you.
All right, Carrie, good. All right, we'll go back. This time, each will have 1 minute to just do a quick closing statement to on your speech. McKenna, go ahead and start.
Thank you for all your questions. I hope they were answered at least to some degree. Like I said before, Ian and Kyle, I respect both of these people in and out of the game. I love them dearly as friends. But that doesn't mean I don't want to absolutely crush them at the end of this. I hope that I was able to clarify what I did while not super strategic and not super out there gameplay, show you that I was able to forge these relationships and weave my way, from being left out of a vote to being voted for at the end. Over.
Thank you. All right. We'll go. Ian, go ahead.
All right. First off, I just want to say that I also appreciated all of your questions and non-questions. I'm never going to say anything bad about Kyle or McKenna. I think you should vote for who you think played the best game. I was voted a touchy subject as most bitter juror. Carrie has cleared that up. It wasn't me. So I vote for who I think I played the best game. I think that's what any real Survivor fan does. I hope you do the same, whether that's for me or Kyle or McKenna. I respect it no matter what. Appreciate all of you, whether I've known you already or whether your name is Matt.
All right. Thank you, Ian. All right, Kyle, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll clear a couple of things up since I've just been sitting here thinking about it. Bill, you want to know why you should vote for somebody like me over somebody like Ian? Is because I think that this overall is the winning strategy in the long run, and I've seen it with other people. John, why did I answer the same answer as Ian? Because he went first. We've talked about mistakes that have been made in this game. I don't feel like I made those mistakes. I never let my personal relationships affect my decision making. I made the moves that I thought were right at the time, and I was not afraid to do the smart thing, even if it put me a little bit at risk.
Very good. All right. So the jury, you are going to go ahead and vote.
Okay. A lot of times I write my vote before I get to the voting booth because I already kind of know what I'm doing. But for this one, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing. I know what I'm doing now. So I can write. Okay. I am casting my vote for my dear friend, Ian. That is Ian. I call him Ian.
Correct.
I'm the only person he allows to call him that. He played the best game, and I'm proud of him, and he's come a long way, and he never plays games, and so he's done a really good job, and so I'm hoping he'll be more likely to play games in the future and not just host all the time. So it's been a good ride.
Okay, so I am voting for McKenna to win. I think she made a good point. A lot of people respect somebody's game if they are strategic and backstabbing, but I think it's even harder to get to the end and not to have to do those things. So that is why my vote is for McKenna to win.
When you interviewed me for this game, you asked me if I would vote for someone who played a better game than my best friend. And, he's my best friend. I tried to look for every single reason not to vote for him. But this is completely deserved. You played one hell of a game.
All right. For the last time this season, I will go tally the votes. All right, so should I read the votes? Do you guys want me to, or should I wait? I'm going to read the votes. Remember, these are votes for a winner. You want to see your name come out of this urn tonight, right now. All right, I'm reading the votes. First vote, Ian. That's a 1 vote, Ian. Second vote, McKenna. We are tied. 1 vote, Ian. 1 vote, McKenna. Second vote, or third vote, Ian. That's 2 votes, Ian. 1 vote, McKenna. Ian. That's 3 votes, Ian. 1 vote, McKenna. The winner of Survivor, Yagong Island, Ian. Ian, congratulations on being our first winner here at Radical Reality Productions.
Thank you. I came in today wanting to have fun, and I was just telling Kyle and McKenna, win or lose, this has been an absolute blast from start to finish. I want to shout out Radical Reality Productions because we put on minis at DCP, and this was an efficient mini from start to finish. For your first one, I am honestly kind of blown away at how efficient it went. I have appreciated all of your work today as well. I mean, you made the game happen. And like I said earlier, Kyle and McKenna, appreciate both of your games and, respect them as well. So thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Ian. And I just have a few things to go out here before we close out. So I just want to give a few shout outs to obviously to Dynamic Character Productions. The team puts in a wonderful show, and especially McKenna Feeney for letting us take this format to use it tonight. We do extremely appreciate it, and everything you guys do is amazing. And a quick shout out, we do want to give out a shout out to Outcast Originals, also known as Josh Spitzer, who made the beautiful logo for this game, as long with all the parchments that you guys saw throughout the day today. It has been a wild journey. This game has been great. We had a great cast. Turned out to be an amazing season. I'm so happy that all of you were able to be a part of it. And with that being said, once again, thank you to everyone, and especially all of you viewing this. We appreciate you watching with us all season, and we do appreciate you, putting questions in and everything that you've done throughout the season. Have a good night, everyone. I am your host, Jay Milligan, signing off alongside my co-host, Marvin Burgos, and the entire Radical Reality Productions team. Thank you, everyone.